Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, all that other good stuff. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so I'm really excited today to have Scott Von Deylen on the line, and we're going to go over his chapter, Celebrate the Ordinary, which was just released in the latest release of Money Matters, Business Leaders Edition, Volume 2. Scott, first, congratulations on making the book.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Adam, and appreciate you having me as a part of it.
Man, I'll tell you. First of all, I would always look for a good sales guy, a good leader, a good motivator. And when I heard your story, and as I kind of got to know you better and what you're all about, I'm just excited about what you came up with. So first, let's just start with let's get right into the content. So celebrate the ordinary. What inspired you to write this chapter?
Well, I think it's really just the journey itself, right? And my journey is far from over, but having a career in sales and individuals always asking, what does it take to be successful in sales? And so many people claim to have that answer. But for me, it's a lot of different things that's in the chapter, but it's really just a continual celebration of the everyday mundane, if you will, that there are a lot of huge events in our lives that we can be excited about. But a lot of times you really just got to be able to get up and get excited about the ordinary, or celebrate the ordinary, as I say, to really take appreciation for the small things in life, which sounds a little cliche, but I guess it's a combination of things, but it's just kind of my take on where my life has been thus far and kind of the success that I've had.
So, Scott, let's, and spoiler alert for everyone listening, these, when we go over these, we're getting into the meat of it. I want you to obviously buy the book, learn more from the book, but I also want you to hear directly from the author. So, Scott, let's talk a little bit more about the story that you share about your grandfather in this chapter, because I'll tell you, it was a good one.
Yeah, it's something that I think about often, and I honestly have never written it down until this book. So, my grandfather was extraordinarily successful and came from a very small town, Fort Wayne, Indiana, grew up on a farm. And so, by the time I was of age or in middle school, he was very, very successful and took me to a business meeting one day in downtown Cincinnati where I grew up. We used to play golf on Mondays at his country club, was fortunate enough to go golfing with him. And he took me to a business meeting downtown and sat outside the conference room, and I'd never been in a building in downtown Cincinnati. So I was overwhelmed, to say the least, at 10 years of age and wondering where I was and what my grandfather was doing. And as you read in the chapter that, I get brought into the room after the meeting was over and was just, again, overwhelmed by the 12 men that were in that boardroom that day. And still don't have a full understanding of exactly what the transaction was. And my grandfather's no longer with us, so I can't ask him about that. But just this amazing experience that was life-altering, that at the age of 10, I went, I don't know what it was that was so enthralling about that moment, but I thought, gosh, I have to get back here. I want to work in business. I've already admired my grandfather at that point, and from that moment on, it was, I want to do what he's done and find that type of success in my life, because not only was he successful in business, he was successful in family. And it was just genuinely just an all-around amazing man. So that was that moment, that pivotal moment. I think a light bulb went off in my head, and my brain rewired itself and said, put me on a different track to say somehow, some way, I've got to get into that type of environment, and that's where I find myself today.
That's awesome. And so obviously we're going to talk a little bit more about where you're at today and what you're doing and the success you've had. But you're a sales guy. I love that, because you've done, you've sold a lot of different things in your lifetime. And you mentioned a couple of the more, I would say, the funnier ones in the chapter. Do you want to elaborate on one or two of those?
Yeah, I've sold a lot of things. I really started selling when I was a kid. I used to cut grass and shovel snow in my neighborhood. I had 5 or 6 yards at one point when I was in fourth grade that I used to cut. And, but, when I finally started working for an employer, I sold everything from knives to cars. And the funnier one is probably the DVDs that I sold to nursing homes with original content for senior centers and the more than 20,000 nursing homes around the country over the phone with a sales team. So I sold male enhancement supplements over the phone in a call center in Cincinnati when I was in college to help pay my way through school at the time. It's the list is long, and so finally found myself in the SaaS world and working here for Prescribed Wellness and selling software to pharmacies and really providing a solution that is actually changing lives.
That's absolutely amazing. And you know what? It wasn't until right this moment that I forgot about one of my funniest sales experiences when I was in college, and it was in college. I used to be, the Total Gyms that you order online. I was working in an inbound call center selling Total Gyms when I was in college at one point, graveyard shift. I didn't even think about that for a decade, maybe more. I didn't even remember I did that. That was my funniest sales one.
I think I may have actually bought one of those at some point.
I believe it, and I probably guilted you into doing it. The things that come out on these author interviews, they're a little bit different than the normal process. I love it. Let's get a little bit more into what you're doing current day. So. Obviously, you paid your dues in sales. You've done things. You've done inbound, outbound. You've scaled teams. Let's talk a little bit more about what you're doing current day.
Yeah. So currently, here at Prescribed Wellness, we were a startup 7 years ago. Built a company from one client to now more than 11,000 pharmacies nationwide. We work with independent pharmacies. And we were acquired back in March by Tabula Rasa Healthcare, a publicly traded company. But today, in terms of my job and my segment of the business, I'm responsible for the continual book of business that we have and upselling into that book of business, and then obviously prospecting. There's more than 60,000 pharmacies in America. There's another 12,000 independent pharmacies in terms of the green space in this marketplace. So I have a sales team here of almost 20 individuals, and they're separated into teams and managers, and we have daily, really monthly goals and quarterly goals, annual goals, and that's what we're constantly chasing down is growing the business year over year and bringing amazing software solutions to these independent pharmacy owners and to their patients that they need to really change the overall outcome for their business and for the patient's health. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, what I'm doing.
That's awesome. And I guess this would be the self-interested part on my side as a publisher, but I want to see you on stage. I want to see you speaking, and I want to see you talking about Celebrate the Ordinary. I need you to develop a keynote, and I want you to hit a stage. I know you're busy at Prescribed Wellness, but I want you to do some side speaking. Any kind of plans or keynotes or anything that you're kind of got in the midst around Celebrate the Ordinary or the overall your overall position as a sales leader and motivator overall?
Yeah, and great question. I am working on a keynote. I know we've talked about it off the air, but super excited and have always been interested about the potential to be in a motivational speaking type or sales consulting type of a role. I love speaking. I was actually, I have a background in it. I was in drama in high school and was actually awarded a scholarship for college for drama that I didn't take. And so I've always enjoyed being in front of people and the energy that brings. More importantly, delivering messages that help individuals. And if I can provide, something from my overall experience, whether it's in sales or just generally in life, I have 4 beautiful children at home. So I've got a lot of experience under my belt. I'm only 35 years old, but really just excited to put that together, to get out there and to really help, hopefully bring, a message to those who are present that has an impact. I mean, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. In all seriousness, celebrate the ordinary, your background, the ethics behind what you're doing, how you're doing it, your story, your passion to help people. I mean, when it comes down to it, you're not usually very successful in sales or building teams or growing something, especially when you're a real salesperson or on the motivating side, unless you're really doing a good job internally. And what I found is just being on stage and sharing your message with more people, it's just the power to and it just empowers you to help more people, which I know that's what you're all about. So I'm really excited to hear more great things about you there. So Scott, hey, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you for your amazing contribution to Money Matters Business Leaders Volume 2 edition. You had your chapter title was Celebrate the Ordinary, and it's definitely nothing ordinary about this chapter. It's an amazing chapter, amazing lessons you taught. I learned a lot. I know the readers are going to learn a lot also from it. So thanks again for coming on the show.